Hey, Cinners, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Sinful Cuts.
And we are so happy because one of our all-time horror heroes has joined us today. We have Mother Horror herself, Sadie Hartmann. And it's so exciting!
Oh no, am I frozen? I feel like my screen is frozen.
You're good here?
Yeah, I can
good.
see you.
Okay.
I can see
Yeah.
you fine.
Good. Hi, I'm Mother Horror.
How great we have Sadie Hartmann, who will be in a static position like this for the next hour. All right, Sadie, our sinners know who you are. I mean, that's goes without saying. But I am going to mention your accolades. So I came across you as Mother Horror on Instagram, and I was like, well, what's all this about? You know, and I was immediately transfixed. Everything that you put on Instagram, everything you put on socials, I greedily gobble up. You and Emily Hughes and your partner for Nightworms, Spookish Mommy, Ashley Sawyers, you are doing so much work for the horror community. And I don't mean this, I'm not blowing smoke when I say that you truly are a horror hero of ours. We really appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. I think that horror is really having like a moment. I think it's always been here and it's always been something that people enjoy and enjoy it to the fullest. But I think it's often overshadowed by like horror movies. If you like put horror in the Google search engine and it automatically assumes you're talking about movies.
Yeah.
So I feel like advocating for horror books and this genre that we love is really important work.
I couldn't agree more. So let's talk about some of these incredible works that you have. So, Sadie, just to button it all up, though, you write for Scream, you write for Cemetery Dance, you're an active member in the Horror Writers Association. You were nominated for a Bram Stoker Award for this little gem right here. I mean, I love this book so much. I'm just going to take a minute. So this is 101 horror books to read before you're murdered, which is the best title of all the titles. People can stop doing titles now because this one's the best. But what I want to, this is what professionals do, right? They thumb through it while they talk about it.
Yes.
What I want to talk about, what this book means to me personally was the fact that, do you have a lot of the heavy hitters in here? Of course you do. But I was so appreciative of the fact that you were pointing readers in directions of lesser known authors and some indie stuff and things that were not on anyone's radar. Of course, sinners are out there right now. Like, it was on our radar. You're just a knucklehead. It really did open my eyes to authors that were not on my radar whatsoever that are now always on my TBR list. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Good. I love to hear that. Thank you so much.
And then, of course, we had the Bram Stoker nominated in 2023. Or was it 2022 or 2023 for Human Monsters?
It was 2023 is when it came out, yes.
23. Okay. So the work that you do is phenomenal. What you're giving us with these books is phenomenal. And then, today we're going to talk about Rosemary's Baby, and I can't wait for your insight.
I'm so excited. Yes. The thing with the 101 horror books to read before you're murdered, I really read horror that was available to me when I was like a teenager, which is basically what my mom had on her shelves. So it was a lot of like Anne Rice, Dean Koontz, Peter Straub, Stephen King. It was really well-known people. And then when I started becoming active on Bookstagram, which is like a niche community on the app Instagram, I realized that there were so many indie authors working in the genre, putting out amazing horror, and it just became like an oversaturation for me. Like I couldn't get enough of it. And so like 2017 on, I was primarily reading just horror.
You've encapsulated my biggest problem with horror, and that's a problem that I create, not horror itself, but it's the fact that I don't have a resource, or I didn't have a resource until I found you and the others that I mentioned, where I could find these things that weren't at the local Barnes and Noble, that weren't particularly at the library. And now you are to blame, though. I got a bone to pick with you, Sadie, because I don't make enough money to support my habit.
I know. That is really the problem. I mean, people who follow me currently will realize that I'm reading much more digitally these days because
Mm,
there's so much out there available, like on library apps, and you
Hmm.
can get like a Kindle Unlimited subscription. You could read audiobooks. There's a lot of access to books that are inexpensive for like your e-readers. So people will realize that like what I'm doing now is I used to just buy everything and hoard it, but then I realized like I'm buying books that I don't particularly resonate with or haven't read yet. So why don't I just take a step back and realize that I can buy the books after I've read them and curate my library a little bit more intentionally instead of just exploding all over the house.
so smart. No, it's very smart. I have that. Unfortunately, I just have that compulsion where I need to buy everything. I have to have the physical media.
I
It's a
know. I know. I
problem.
know.
I'm a
Yeah,
big
I
audiobook person. I've
You are.
grown back. I've gone back to like just being like a little child and just having someone read to me.
yes. Yes, and audiobooks are amazing. They're sometimes like they're a full cast. Like
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Graham Jones's third book in his trilogy, his Indian Lake trilogy, he has a full cast, including Stephen King, I think, makes an appearance on it. So
Wow,
yeah, and I
that's
heard
cool.
Paul Tremblay's horror movie book is that or
Oh,
that just came out.
brilliant.
That has an incredible audiobook. So I mean, it's almost like listening to a movie.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, very much so. I think it's fun. There's definitely been times where I've been driving in my car and I probably just look like a crazy person because you'll definitely see me go, oh my God, like just like sitting up straight closer to the wheel, like, I can't believe that just happened. And it's like
I love it.
it's just how it's read to me.
Now, Shannon, I know you and I love you, but the answer to that question is yes. You do look like a crazy person.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's what we want. Now,
I mean,
Sadie,
book nerds are like that anyway, right?
Yeah.
I want to. I do want to mention. Let's talk about nightworms though, because I'm obsessed with nightworms. But I do
Oh,
want. I want you. I want you to give it. Do the hard yards on it though, because I don't want to call it a book subscription service because it's not that. It's much more
yeah.
of a curated service. But would you? Would
Yeah.
you? For our sinners, would you explain it?
Yeah, so Nightworms is a monthly boutique curated service of horror fiction that is delivered to our customers all over international and home. And Ashley and I pick these titles. So there's really no application process for an author to go through to have their book featured in the package. It's really what Ashley and I want to see on our own shelves and what we believe our customers want to read because we interact with them on a daily basis on Bookstagram. We're really active in that community. So we're listening to what readers want, what readers are excited about, and we give it to them. And it's giving to ourselves too because we want these books.
the the stickers, the magnets, the coffee, the teas. It's such a fantastic collection of stuff that you give to the subscriber. So I cannot recommend it enough. Nightworms, please go online, check it out. If you're listening to this podcast, it's right up your alley. So hopefully we can get some more subscribers for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, we just closed our subscriber window. That's why I usually say it's boutique because it's just not open all the time. We have a small window of time when people can subscribe. We take a very limited number because Ashley and I like pack these packages ourselves with some friends. So we want attention to detail. Like you mentioned, we hire out for all the artwork that goes into the stickers and the magnets, the collectible bookmarks for each month that fit the theme. It's really just kind of a boutique, like niche thing that we do that I feel represents the genre because I feel like horror fans are used to being in a little niche community anyway.
Yeah,
Sure.
pretty much.
It's
Is the window that when it's open, is that kind of random? Do you kind of do it like seasonally, would you say? Or is it just kind of like, oh, we can do it now?
Yeah, it's usually we do a theme reveal on the last Friday of the month, and
Okay.
then we usually open for pre-orders on the first Monday of the month.
Okay.
fantastic.
So typically that's how it goes, but we always recommend people follow us on Instagram.
Hmm.
Ashley and I don't believe in water cooler apps anymore, any social media apps where it's, like Twitter or, all the other threads and stuff like that. We just don't believe in them anymore. We're just very involved in Bookstagram and Bookstagram only. So you can
Great.
follow us there. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Perfect. So, Sinners, you know exactly where to go, and I recommend it. Please do, because you're just going to be happy. It's exactly what you're looking for.
For sure.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. So, Shannon, you want to talk about what we're going to review today? Not review today, but dissect today and, you
Yeah.
know, get
Yeah.
into the weeds.
Yeah, 1968, Rosemary's Baby. It's directed by Roman Polanski. So he was known for 1974's Chinatown. 1976 is The Tenant. I think Ghostwriter is like the more current one in 2010,
Yep.
and Carnage in 2011, I
I
believe.
never saw that one, but yeah, I guess
Yeah,
he did, do that, but I didn't see that one.
yeah. But
I don't
Rosemary's
know.
Baby. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. I was like just kind of thinking for myself too. Like, did I see all of these? I haven't.
Yeah, I actually started watching Chinatown the other night. It's a long movie, so I did. I'll admit I fell asleep, but but I liked what I saw. It wasn't a fault of the movie. It was just because I got up at 4 in the morning and it went past 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what happens too.
But I really enjoyed what I saw. So I just have to. I'm probably gonna finish it tonight, honestly. But I liked it.
So, Sadie, Shannon and I started this podcast back in August, and we immediately came across the problem when we're doing these films, and we have to address the elephant in the room, is that we have to separate the art from the artist. And we
Uh,
learned that very, very quickly because it turns out there were so many horrible men in Hollywood. It's
yeah, go
jarring.
figure. I
So,
know.
you know,
Yeah.
Sinners, we're going to get into Rosemary's Baby. You know, we have to address the fact that Roman Polanski is a very problematic person to talk about. But we will separate the art from the artist. But we do want to acknowledge it. We just don't want to steamroll and ignore the fact. So when we come across movies like this, and Shannon and I have at least a half dozen times in the the 50 episodes that we've done so far, we always like to address it and not ignore it. So,
For
there we
sure.
go.
Yeah.
Done and
Yeah. Just do a little Google search, a little
Just
problematic director Google search, and it'll come up.
yeah, pretty much.
Here's my favorite part, though. Here's my favorite part is that we love talking about John Carpenter because the worst thing about John Carpenter is that he's cranky. We love him.
Mhm.
We want
Yeah.
all his movies, So we do like to do what I call what Shannon and I call the hard yards in the beginning of every episode. So what we do is we just give a little credit to the people that put the film together. So we've got Polanski's directing. We've got the screenplay by the novelist Ira Levin, who his novel is the source material.
Mhm.
Polanski added as well.
Whoop, whoop.
It's funny that everyone who's associated with the film, it was William Castle who this was attributed to, said that this movie is such an insanely faithful adaptation of the novel, and William Castle thought it was because of the fact that Polanski was a foreign director and he was adapting this material that he didn't think that he was allowed to deviate from the source
Oh.
material. So that's why it's so insanely faithful to the novel. My favorite part of everyone involved in this is William Castle produced this. I just love William Castle. I hope that he's not a problematic person. I think the worst that we can find is he put electrodes under people's seats. He seems to be a genuinely wonderful person. And then you have the cinematography by William Fraker, who would then go on to do like a Bullet, a weird movie that resonates with me very much, a movie called Day of the Dolphin, which
Wow.
it's bizarre. They're training dolphins to assassinate the president. I'll stop there. Go search it out. He did Spielberg's 1941 and War Games. I have this weird thing with cinematographers. I have this little fan club in my mind for them. And then the production design by Richard Silbert, which we don't often bring up production designers, but have to on this one because the production design is just glamorous, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And since we're on the subject of problematic men,
Oh,
so
we're going to get into it a lot in this film.
a smidge. But Mia Farrow obviously was the role played Rosemary, and actually went through a divorce with Frank
Mm.
Sinatra, literally to the point where I think it was just I don't think it was him. I think it was his lawyer that walked up to her right before, like, about to shoot a scene, and the lawyer just walked up to her, served the papers, she just signs it, and then action. Like, it's just it's
Can you
incredible.
Well, you know, I was telling my husband just this morning because I was looking up some details too, and I told him, I was like, I'm pretty sure Frank Sinatra gave her an ultimatum while she was filming this movie, which was basically like, hey, your schedule is really annoying to me, and
Mhm.
if you don't quit filming this movie and just kind of like pull out so that we can like have the marriage I want,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna divorce you. And she was kind of like, okay, well, bye, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's problematic for sure.
he wanted her to be in his movie The Detective, which they came out like neck and neck, I believe. And I actually never seen it. I think it got credited as a good movie, but Rosemary's Baby
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely
yeah, that's
oversaw that. So
yeah,
Farrah made the right choice. So
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think
mhm.
everybody remembers her in this movie.
Yeah,
I
kudos,
have a
definitely.
feeling. I have a feeling that Frank saw the fact that she had done bit parts in two movies previously. She was on Peyton Place, so she had a reputation for a fine actor. This was her big break, and I'd say that Frank wanted to sabotage that. Of course, allegedly speculation, but it just seems like serving her papers on set. It just seems like a real, despicable move. So yeah, a lot of bad man in the film, a lot of bad man outside the film. You know,
Yeah, it's like I wonder if she had like a lot of therapy sessions afterwards.
Well, too, I
'Cause-
mean, I think people were like ruthless about her haircut. It was like kind of
right?
one of those love it or hate it haircuts. She has this cute pixie, which is just like not what leading ladies were doing at the time. Everyone had this like luscious signature hair, and she had this very blunt kind of pixie cut, but she has this arresting face with these big eyes. And I feel like the women all were captivated and the men were all like, oh, I don't like it, she looks like a boy. Like, that
Yeah,
was
I don't want to
more
go
of
out with a boy.
the thing.
You know.
Ugh.
yeah,
Yeah.
Meanwhile, then Twiggy gets the same haircut,
I was
and
just gonna
people are
say,
falling over themselves.
yeah, yeah, I was just gonna say,
Trendsetter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jerks. So, I'll just mention quickly how this all happened. So, William Castle gets a galley of the Ira Levin novel and loves it. And William Castle, being William Castle, is like this. I'm seeing stars. He mortgages his house in order to raise the 100 grand that he. Sorry, it was 100 grand to get the rights to the book. But if the book became a bestseller, which it immediately did, he'd owe another 50,000. So he was able to mortgage his house and get all that money, and he went to Paramount and he wanted to direct it. Now, Robert Evans at the time was like, yeah, maybe, and was eventually able to convince William Castle, you know what, you can produce, but we're not going to let you direct it. And then that's how Polanski got involved. Robert Evans, being Robert Evans, got Polanski's attention by sending him the script. Was reeling him in to direct the movie Downhill Racer because Polanski was super into skiing. But he sent him Rosemary's Baby as well. And Polanski read both and then was immediately like, no, this is the movie for me. And then that was it. Then they started the casting process. Are either of you aware who they wanted? Because I have a little short list here. Do you guys want to know who they actually were
yeah,
after?
yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
let's
us.
hear it.
Okay, so all right, Sadie, I play a game with Shannon called Smash or Trash, and we actually haven't done it in a while, so this is going to be
Wow,
fun.
yeah. I almost forgot about
Oh,
Smash or Trash.
yeah.
Now, Sadie, no one's going to get their feelings hurt. It's just our silly opinions, but you guys give
Okay.
me a Smash or Trash on who you think would work in the role. Let's start with Guy. We'll start with Guy, and then we'll go to Rosemary.
Okay.
So the one that they were desperate to get was Robert Redford. Smash or Trash Redford for Guy?
Smash.
Yeah, I think Smash.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it's a big
I think he
smash on
could have.
Redford.
Yeah, he could have done it.
Yeah.
How about Robert Wagner?
Trash.
I love
I can't see it, so I guess I'll have to go with Trash. Yeah.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay, this one's interesting. How about Jack Nicholson?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So. I actually think Smash. I
I think Smash too. He's a good actor. He could do whatever.
But
You know what?
it would have been a very different vibe from Guy.
Here,
Yeah. I think.
here's my 2 cents on that. Polanski didn't want him because he thought he looked too sinister. And I'm like, that would have worked great in the
Yeah.
movie because that's why I can't go fully in on The Shining because Nicholson shows up and I'm like, oh, well, here's a guy who's definitely going to kill his family before he even says a word.
Well, I will say that the guy who does play him, though, just kind of looking like an average businessman, like just your average Joe, I think that it's intentional that Ira Levin made his name be Guy
Why?
because he's like the average guy. He's the guy. He's the one who's controlling in the relationship and putting his career first, and he's just like your stereotypical guy.
Yeah.
So the fact that
Couldn't
this
agree more. Could
actor is
not
just a
agree
guy.
more. Okay,
Just a
so the
dude.
next one we have is Richard Chamberlain.
Richard
Mm,
Chamberlain. I don't know
I
if
don't remember who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who
Kind
that
of
is either.
maybe it could have worked though because I was going to say maybe too soap opera y, but maybe could have worked, but trash. How about that? All
Okay.
right, so the last two are you guys definitely know Warren Beatty,
Oh, he'd be perfect.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So slimy, smash.
This,
Yeah.
this one I don't know. I'm interested to see what you both think. Burt Reynolds,
Oh,
Oh.
right?
he could have done that back in the day.
I mean,
Probably maybe
handsome
back in the
guy.
day. I don't know.
Kind
I
of
I would
think
that
have
so.
Stevie
yeah.
mustache.
I'm gonna smash Burt. I'm gonna smash
Okay.
him.
Yeah,
Okay.
smash burger.
All right, these are interesting. Now let's get into Rosemary. So they initially offered the role to Tuesday Weld. Do either of you know Tuesday Weld? Okay,
No.
so it was like big back in the late '60s, early '70s. Just picture like an all-American cheerleader look. So how Mia Farrow's more like Wayfish and Pixie-ish. This would have been more like oh boy, I guess like the Margot Robbie of her time.
Okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
So she
voluptuous,
passed on it,
awesome.
didn't like the source material, and then they go after Jane Fonda.
Ooh. Yes. She was kind of in that vein too, don't you think?
I think so. But she passed on it to go make Barbarella with she was married to Roger
So
Vadim.
campy. I say smash for Jane Fonda. She could have done that.
I
Yeah.
think so too. And then this one's a little sad, and it's not confirmed, but Sharon Tate.
I
Well,
know. I
yeah.
thought that
I'm
too.
I'm almost
Yeah.
positive. I'm almost positive he was considering her as well. Yeah. I forgot why she didn't do it. I think her schedule was just too busy. Um, for the time because she was big at the and at that time too, doing her own thing.
So heartbreaking.
I know.
Okay, then we have Julie Christie, British
I
actress Julie Christie, who
I definitely know that name.
What
she
was she
was.
in?
Oh my gosh, I believe she was in with Warren Beatty in the remake of Heaven Can Wait. Oh, she was in McCabe and Mrs. Miller. McCabe and Mrs. Miller, the Robert Altman film. She played the bordello owner. Like super late '60s, early '70s. She's just one of those actors. How about Goldie? Okay, so we're past Julie Christie since none of us really know her. How about Goldie Hawn?
Yeah, totally. Smash.
I could so see it.
Yeah.
I
So they
don't
have.
know.
Oh,
I
I
You know
don't.
like
how
Goldie
Mia
Hawn a lot.
Farrow, you know how Mia
I go.
Farrow has kind of like that doe-eyed look sometimes? Like Goldie Hawn totally has that sort of where she can just kind of slide into that uh I don't want to say like she's playing like a dumb blonde or anything like the stereotype, but she just kind of can do that whole passive aggressive sort of like going with the flow, sort of hysteria, paranoia. I could totally see that.
See,
I agree, and I
I'm
think they
gonna
have
go
a
with
movie.
trash. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
you
because
can't
I
back.
see, and here. No, so I'm gonna go with okay. So Goldie Hawn, I get the, I get the look of her, and that could have worked. I think I see her, maybe, and maybe it's just the movies maybe that I've only seen her in, so that's probably my fault. But I just feel like I see her as a much stronger woman. I don't really
Okay.
see her as submissive as Mia Farrow's character is in the film. So I don't see it working as well. Because she's a stronger person, and obviously, I mean, we're going to get into it more. But all the men are very controlling, very puppeteering Rosemary, if you will. And I can't see Goldie Hawn going with the flow. I don't know why.
I do have something to add to that though about her character, about
Yeah,
Rosemary, but we'll get into it later.
yeah.
Okay, good. I like I do like Goldie Hawn just for the fact that seeing Goldie Hawn progressively put into more and more danger, I feel as an audience member, I would have been like, no, because I feel the same way about Mia Farrow. Like she just captures your heart,
hmm
you
Yeah.
know, just right out of the gate, and not because and again, this is my dime store opinion, but not because she's naive or that she's that she is someone that could be easily manipulated. Like you have to look at the organization that is manipulating her. I mean, there are so many people involved. It's on such a grand scale. It's so calculated. She really is doomed from the get go. But I love the fact that Mia Farrow as Rosemary, the very first scene that we get when they're entering the apartment with, by the way, with Elijah Cook as the the realtor who's showing them around, I
Yeah.
just love him so much. I love him. But the fact that we meet Guy and Rosemary won't let Guy get away with the fact that he's lying immediately to boost himself up to the realtor who he's going to know for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, we immediately get a sense of who Guy is. You know, he's just a fucking guy. you know,
Yeah.
excuse my language, but he is just this unremarkable guy. And Rosemary just won't let him get away with it. She's like, he wasn't in that. He was in this. If you know him from anything, it's this commercial. And I love that about her. Like she knows who she is. She certainly knows who he is to a certain extent. I mean, not completely, because I think the fact that she doesn't know to what lengths he'll go is ultimately, what
Yeah.
what we
Her
get.
downfall. Yeah.
Yeah, the downfall. But I like that she knows who she is. I
Yeah. Yeah,
that
no,
resonates.
that's kind of along those same lines I was going to say too, is that she does advocate for herself. I mean, in some degree she kind of goes with the flow, and like when the neighbors are kind of intervening too much or just like, stifling, she kind of sets some boundaries. And with the smoothies and stuff that they start having her drink or dessert, like I could see myself being in the same situation, where it's like you're a little bit sus, you're a little bit like, you're not sure what's happening, but for the sake of being not rude and just being polite, like you're just kind of going along. But she does start to seek other help. Like she gets a second opinion at one point from her
hmm
obstetrician. Like she does advocate for herself. I think a lot of people, especially people, if you haven't read the book, like this is where I have to recommend the book. Like this book, the reason why so many people wanted this project to go, because this was 67 and the movie was made in 68. So it was like,
hmm
this has to be a movie. Um, this book is so tightly written and it's such a feminist novel, like from a man. but he wrote it from the perspective of like a very feminist character. The whole thing is, talking about advocating for your own health, your own body, like, it definitely, it's called Rosemary's Baby, for crying out loud, and everybody else is trying to stake a claim on this pregnancy, and it's her fucking baby, like,
Yeah.
so the title is even like Rosemary's Baby, remember?
It's like, yeah, so fuck off.
Yeah.
But
Sadie,
yeah.
wait, Shannon, I made a huge mistake. We have to go all the way back. Rewind. Sadie, I forgot to, when we have guests on, the most important question is, thank you so much for coming on. I sent you an email and I gave you a list of movies. What made you choose Rosemary's Baby?
Oh, so that's funny. There are a lot of movies and books that I missed that came out when I was too young to enjoy them. I watched the movie The Exorcist, when I was way too young. I didn't finish it. I watched most of it behind my hands. So being mother horror on social media, every single October I go through the classics and make sure that I'm not missing anything that I missed when I was a child in the 70s and, the 80s. I was not reading horror until like late 80s, early 90s. So, every October I go through, grab a few classics, and Rosemary's Baby was, I think, like 3 years ago, and I read it with Robert Bloch's Psycho. And I watched both movies. So I read the books and watched the movies, and they nailed it. Like, both adaptations, both books, they're very short, like, and I respect that from a reader. Like, if you can pack all of that into 300 pages or less than 200.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Psycho
Oh,
is just razor
yes.
sharp the entire time. Rosemary's Baby, the tension is like a boilie. Like, it just boils from like the minute it starts till the end is just it's pasta sauce all over the place. So I like admired both of these books and have advocated their readership since the beginning. Like, now I'm just like all over it. That's why I chose it, is because it's probably one of my favorite horror novels. Top
I'm
10 for sure.
so happy when you did, especially you. I was so happy when you did.
See, so I have a question for you guys. So what do you guys think of the neighbors, the Castavets?
Oh, I love The Neighbors.
I
Right?
wish
They're
I wish
so
they were my neighbors.
annoyingly
Is that
great.
weird to say?
You want them to be
What
your
did you say?
neighbors?
I wish they were my neighbors. I love them.
They're crazy.
I love them so much. I mean, Ruth Gordon, well, winning the Oscar, by the way,
Hmm.
Right.
well played, Ruth Gordon. They're so real. They're so real. Like, they're
Yeah.
just, you know, the acting that is going on in their scenes is just, it's like burning your eyeballs off because it's so effortless. They seem like they have been together forever. They just look like a real couple, and their interaction with Guy and with Rosemary is so real and effortless as well, and their manipulation of both of them,
Mm.
and it's so
Yeah.
subtle. I mean, I can't get enough of this movie. With that said, you two are absolutely going to beat up on me when I get to maybe some critiques of the movie, because this film suffers for me the same problem that The Shining has, where I wish I could just trim it the second act just a little bit, because the first act and the third act for me are chef's kiss, but that second act for me is just a little too long. I just want to trim it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
gonna yell at you for that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fair.
same.
Totally fair.
Just another guy trying to control everything, guy.
I'm going to see myself out.
Wrong. You're wrong.
Just another guy, just like you said, just a guy. We're the worst. Men are the worst. I said it.
I
I'm just
mean, it
kidding. We
does
love
have
you.
some strange, like, we can get into spoiler territory, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it does have some, like, at the beginning, I do love, and this is different from the book, I believe. I don't remember Rosemary going down to the basement to do clothes and running into that woman who signals to her that something is going on with this apartment building and specifically those neighbors. Like, she's kind
Mm.
of like, oh, they really latched on to this one lady and then she ended up like throwing herself off the building.
Mhm.
And Rosemary's kind of like, oh, wow, okay. But she kind of like blows it off. Whereas these days, I feel like true crime junkies like myself would have been all, tell me more. Like,
Yeah.
I would have been all over that. Yeah.
Yeah, because she
But
didn't
there,
seem suicidal in their
yeah,
conversation, and I think that's what Rosemary tries to say. Like, I literally just had a conversation with Terry yesterday, like
yeah,
and then you got the Castavets saying, "Oh, well, she was a troubled soul," and she's like, "Was she?" What the-" But then, yeah,
yeah.
but then, like you said, like, "Oh, okay," she's like, "Yeah, she was a troubled soul. Why don't you come over for dinner?"
I know, right? You just kind of be like, what? Like, didn't the neighbors, that was part of the story, is the neighbors had latched onto her and she was very involved in their lives, maybe even living with them.
Yeah,
I think Terry
she was.
mentions she
Yeah.
was living with them. Yeah, I think she mentions that I think she was from the streets. Maybe had you kind of assume maybe like drugs, maybe a recovering drug addict, at least from what I remember out of the
Yeah.
dialogue. And she's like, yeah, they took me in, they took care of me, and I think she had that necklace on too with the
Oh,
And
anise root.
Tanis root.
yes, yes. So, but yeah, once I because I think it was like they moved in. What they were there like not even a week, and then Terry killed herself. So I guess is it insinuated that they were going to go after Terry, and then I guess Satan was just like, oh no, her, and they were
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah. Or like
Well,
even she couldn't get pregnant or maybe something like this is better for them because Rosemary's already married and this
Mm,
girl, like there's, the whole like they would have to do that thing where they do the ritualistic pregnant, getting the
yeah,
woman pregnant.
and
Like that
explain.
would be a little that would be a little bit more unexplainable for a single
Uh,
gal.
can
gotcha,
I ask you
gotcha.
both a question? I don't know why I'm raising my hand like I'm in. Can I ask you a question? Do you think the devil was more, oh, it's her? Or do you think the devil was more like, oh, no, it's him? Because
Yes.
I can get like that. Because there's so much manipulation and gaslighting. There's so many machinations that have to happen to actually get Rosemary, susceptible. I mean, they literally have to drug her. But Guy is just a whisper in the ear. And he's like, I, I think it's my favorite part in a gross way, just because it's horror. It's my favorite part of the novel is that Guy doesn't sell his soul; he sells his wife's womb.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
like it's so despicable on such a gigantic level because it's not a Faustian bargain of like, all right, this is happening to me. I'm going to sell my soul. He's so gross. He's so galactically gross
Yeah.
because he's selling his wife, like literally his wife, as
And
property.
I mean, I don't know if he knew exactly the implications of what was going to happen. Like, did he know that they were a satanic cult? I don't know. Did he know that they were going to maybe ultimately take the baby? Like, I don't know that either, but like all he wanted was to further his own career. And you can kind of tell once that bus starts rolling and the wheels start moving, he's very happy at first, but then he is a little tortured. Like you can see there's moments where he's just like, this is going off the rails, but like I can't wheel it back in. I got to keep up the lie. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
tell he's conflicted.
Well, I think because I don't know if he. I think it's because Rosemary starts questioning a lot, so I think it's him trying to, yeah, like you said, he's trying to cover up the lie, which and that gets exhausting. I can only imagine,
Yeah.
it's and he just wants her just put up and shut up, just be a woman, go in the kitchen, make me dinner, just stay and clean the house, take care of the baby, just do what I say, and she won't. And
yeah,
I'm sure that's frustrating for any man. um
Yeah,
you
and
know
the thing that I remember the most clearly about my reading experience of the book was I was feeling so much anxiety and just being like, there's no way that this is going to get better. And then all of a sudden, Ira Levin introduces this friend, Hutch, who
hmm
comes in and just kind of like starts investigating the apartment, starts investigating these neighbors, putting two and two together, bringing her into it. She seems like a sharp tool and she's starting to put pieces together.
hmm
She wants to see a doctor that's outside of the influence of these people. Like, you know, this friend comes in clutch right at the moment where you're just kind of like, well, she's a lost cause. And I think that that was so smart. And I think the movie played that really well too.
Yeah, he was
Love.
ultimately the only man I think that didn't betray her, right? Where every single solitary other a person I would say too did.
I
You
think of
know.
one
Yeah.
other. It's Hutch and no one else, really. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Poor
So
Hutch.
I know, and he gets the, but they're always one step ahead, those crazy satanic cults.
But
This.
don't you love that? I think that horror does that a lot for us. Like you mentioned The Shining, it's the same thing. Like somebody comes in from the outside and comes alongside the protagonist and tries to help them and give this like glimmer of hope to
Yeah.
horror fans, because I think a lot of times we're just in this protagonist's shoes with all this anxiety and we're like, there's no hope. Like this woman's going down a hill, it's careening, it's, you know, it's devastating, and then someone comes in and we get to cling to a little bit of faith. We get to be like, oh my gosh, maybe she'll make it, you know.
Sadie,
Yeah.
that's such a great point, and I just dawned on me right now. Dick Halloran, right? Dick Halloran from The
Uh-huh.
Shining, and Hutch. They really are like our maybe, and then
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I love them so much. I love those characters so much.
Me too. They're the best. We always need a friend to come into horror and just kind of like be that glimmer of hope. I mean, we see it in The Exorcist too. I mean, that's a really hopeless situation, and then you know, someone comes in to the rescue who has more to give than the protagonist. So you know, something more to give, more knowledge, more faith, more you know, able to fight. And they took him out early though in Rosemary's Baby. Like he goes into a
Yeah,
coma or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like all of a sudden just like just slowly like quickly got phased out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I found really
Okay.
interesting about this movie too, though, like on top of how, like, because I think the whole thing is chilling. It's a very chilling story. Sadie, you mentioned that you know that Rosemary is in peril, and like you're with her, and you just like want to like capture her and save her yourself,
Yeah.
and obviously you can't, and until it's too late. But I actually really admire too how they also made the neighbors, like the whole like situation, it was actually kind of funny too, right? Like it actually had a lot of humor to it.
Very
um
comedic.
yeah, right, like just I'm just like popping over and then they just come in and just sit down, start knitting. And you're like,
Yeah, and Rosemary's just like immediately bored with like she's like, why does my husband want to hang out with these old fuddy-duddies? Like we're younger, we want to do things, we want to stay up late, and he's over here talking about what were their conversations like. Him and the guy would talk about like the most boring shit, and then the woman, the elderly neighbor, is just so up in her business. Like that's the kind of stuff where you're like, I don't want to drink your smoothies, I don't want to do your weird ritualistic, like, you know, homeopathic stuff. I just want a normal doctor who gives me normal pills. Like, yeah, that lady was
even
awful.
oh, but I forgot what her name. Obviously, not the Castevets. The woman with the, oh my god, was that Patsy? I mean Laura Louise or
Oh, with
something like that with the big
the
glasses.
glasses.
So, but even at the end, like for the big reveal, like even the way she's just rocking the baby, like it's
Like,
like what
It is funny.
the fuck are you doing? And then
Yes, it is funny.
she's trying to tell Rosemary, no, fuck off. I got him. He's fine. He's fine.
yeah, he's
And she's like, what
this devil baby's fine. Don't worry
I
about
mean,
are you
even the
doing? Fuck
scene
out of
where they're
here.
having like, so she, I mean, she has sex with the devil, like basically, like, you know, I mean, it's crazy. And she wakes up and has all these like nail marks all over her and stuff. And that's funny too, how he's just like, oh, well, maybe I have to clip my nails. You know, I do have like a little hangnail here or something. And you're just like, Rosemary, this doesn't explain what happened.
it.
No.
Run, run.
It's just like ew.
Yeah, Claude. All of a sudden he's having rough sex with her. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like there's so many times where I think, and this speaks to women anyway in general, is like we just ignore red flags. Like it's especially in the safety of a marriage, especially when things are going well, like they just got into this fancy apartment, it would be really problematic for her to be like, we need to leave. Like, they've wanted this situation for so long. She put up with way too much.
Yeah, well, I think
I need
trying
to
to
do
get
a
pregnant
timeout
was
for
a
one
huge
second. I just gave a
distraction.
heart symbol, and I just need to clarify. That was to my daughter, who is dressed to go to a Sweet 16 and looks gorgeous. I was not advocating for devil rape with the heart. I just need to point that out, all right?
Good thing you said that.
People are going to be watching this on YouTube, and they're like, what is wrong with him?
Why did you do that?
She looked gorgeous, by the way, though. She's going to have a great time.
Aw.
Aw.
Now, I've two daughters, so yes, this movie and novel resonate very much with me. I'm always on the lookout
Yes.
for devils. Who's this kid?
Yes, very much.
All
Do
right,
you
we need to talk about the setting though, because this is part of the filmed in New York. It is New York. The characters are so New York because everyone's so eccentric, and it's gorgeously shot. I mean, it's just, you've got the Dakota, which has its own, has its own history. But I think that the architecture, they filmed interiors. They couldn't film actually in the Dakota, so they had to duplicate and create their own interiors. But the exteriors and the scenes in the city, like, you get a real slice of 68 Manhattan, and I'm just madly in love with it. I just love movies from this time shot in New York. Because, I mean, Sadie, it's, we're on Long Island, but, our playground is New York when we want to get up to shenanigans. So I love New York.
I do want to throw out a book recommendation. So
Please. Yeah.
if people love the vibes of Rosemary's Baby, and they love, like you were saying, Manhattan, they love the whole setup of, like, this couple going to an apartment and waiting on this list, because I'm sure that that's a thing, like, you want to
Very
get into
much
a
so.
building. Yeah. So check out Nestlings. So Nestlings
I
by
have it.
Nat Cassidy. It is
You
an
have it?
amazing parallel book to Rosemary's Baby. It's kind of like a modern twist on it.
Oh,
Sadie,
cool.
it's so funny you bring up Nat. We do our shortcuts episode, which is basically just like horror news. We do a short little one that we release in the second half of the week, and we brought up Nat Cassidy because he's on the Talking Scared Neil McRoberts podcast,
Oh, uh-huh.
and they're breaking down Carrie for the 50th anniversary,
Right.
and it was so good. I
Yeah,
love
so
that.
good. And so Mary is like a modern day Carrie, and then Nestlings is like Rosemary's Baby, because he's definitely taking a pass at updating those same themes. And it's just so good, because, like, when you were saying the apartments and just the vibes and just the whole feel, like, I saw often confused my feelings with Nestlings and Rosemary's Baby, because they both really set that up, where that you're wandering down the halls, you're looking out the window at the view, like, all of it. So
And it is, and Shannon, back me up on this. New York, Manhattan is it's very different uptown than it is downtown. Like, if you're living on the Upper West Side or the Upper East Side, you have a completely different Manhattan experience than if you're living off Sullivan Street down in the Village, or down in Tribeca or Soho or Battery Park City. Like, there's such different experiences. Like, this is such a moneyed area. And it's, there's all of this incredible Gothic architecture, and you've got Central Park right there. I mean, it really is, it is a special place. But then to take that and to layer this kind of like banal evil on top of it, I'm sorry, I forgot his Richard Silbert, who was the production designer. He's got a quote that I think is just masterful, which is, "This is one of the best horror movies where nothing horrific happens outside of devil rape." Well, let's address that. But this isn't like there's no stabbing, there's no blood on the walls, there's almost isn't like a sense of dread. There's the constant gaslighting of Rosemary and the manipulation. But Shannon, to your point, there's so many comedic moments with these eccentric characters.
Yeah.
Like, you get to the end of the movie and you're like, oh my God, the Antichrist was born. Was this a horror movie?
And you never even get to see the Antichrist. You never get to see him. It's all, I mean, Rosemary gives you a little inkling that his eyes are obviously a little unusual, but that's about it. That's all you get. And I thought that was a smart decision, actually.
Same.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I have two like things to say about this situation. So I did not like the sequel to this book, so I don't recommend the sequel. I don't know if there was a movie
Wait,
made, but the sequel was meh. And then also I also recommend that people check out The Yellow Wallpaper by
Yeah.
it's
Great
I
story.
can't remember her middle name, but it's Charlotte Perkins. If and there's a middle name in there too. But it's the origin of this story. So it's gaslighting. It's having a health issue after she's given birth. Her husband whisks her away to this estate in the countryside, hoping that that's going to make her feel better. She's obviously having post traumatic stress. She's obviously having the baby blues or whatever, and they just stick her up in this room, and she hates the wallpaper, and she starts having delusions and paranoia, and she's seeing things, and she's trying to advocate for her health, and they just keep dismissing it, her brother-in-law and her husband. So this is definitely, right there, Rosemary's Baby with the yellow wallpaper. In fact, I think there's a lot of yellow imagery in the book and the movie.
there is. No,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't
We're
think
gonna
I
put
caught
that in the
that.
show notes. We'll put nestlings and we'll put the yellow wallpaper in the show notes. Point people in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's more of a gothic horror. Like when you say, is this even a horror movie? Like it's more of a gothic horror. It follows like a woman in peril and, the romantic themes, but also just like, being gaslit and
Yeah.
having no agency.
Nothing was really ever on the surface. Everything it literally, like, the only person that was on the surface was Rosemary, where everything else is literally all around her. It
Yeah.
and we would just get like snippets with like and that's why we kind of find it funny, like, oh, it's just the interrupting neighbor again. But I'm like, actually no, she's actually in a very, very dangerous situation. um yeah, I what about the scene? Did you guys really like the scene with the with her walking into traffic?
Oh my God,
Oh,
that was actually,
God.
she really did that.
A couple
Yeah,
of
it was
times.
real. Yeah, that's what I heard. It was
Yeah.
real, like, and nobody wanted to film it. And so, like, Roman Polanski was just like, well, I'll do it. I want it. No one's going to hit a pregnant woman. And I was just kind of like, wait, yes, they will.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't
You
though.
know?
As aggressive as New York drivers are, though. Yeah, no, they will not hit a pregnant woman.
Okay, like, that's good to know.
So scary.
They're
So
very used to braking a lot
Yeah, I'm sure.
and honking, but they'll stop.
all right, I have to go back to Guy for a moment. And Shannon, I'll apologize. I promise, Shannon, that I try not to bring up politics on the podcast. We try and keep it as apolitical as possible. But I have to with Guy. You have to permit me, Shannon. You have to.
All right.
Guy is so Trumpian. He's so Trumpian because he's just this unremarkable zilch who is manipulated by people smarter than he is, and he can't see it because Guy absolutely thinks he's in control of what is going on. Even when he doesn't, he's like fakes it till he makes it, But he's a liar. And really just unremarkable, just this unremarkable white man, which seems to be like this epidemic that we're going through right now, where it's like, yeah, I've done nothing special, but I deserve everything and I want everything. And why aren't you giving it to me? And it's like, I just can't.
Yeah.
He's also a fucking coward as well, because when shit hits the
100%.
fan and finally everything, what does he do at the very end scene? He goes off into the corner and hides his face. He can't even
Yes.
look
Yeah.
at her like
Yeah.
the
But do you
fucktard
both
that he
feel
is.
for 68 to 2024, it resonates. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
a beacon right now.
Yeah,
Guy.
because it never changes. This is the same old story. It's just time is a flat circle. Like we hit
Well,
this every time. Like we could make this story every single time. In fact, we do. Like horror is constantly releasing more and more gothic horror stories where the woman is at the center. She's telling everybody that something is wrong, and everyone's just like, you are having a day. You're on your period. Like, don't worry about
Just
it.
your women issues. It's fine.
Yeah, just,
It'll go away. Just stop.
that's
Just
that's
stop
not sulfur
fucking.
you're smelling.
I mean, it's the same. I mean, I just keep making like a list of all of them. There's one that's coming out this year called Ghost Mother, and it's by Kelly Dwyer, and it's a different scenario, but she really wants a baby, and he's like kind of sticking her in this old house and just kind of managing her money and not letting her do the things she wants to do and not giving her agency and not she can't be independent. He's kind of controlling everything. She sees ghosts. He tells her he doesn't. Like, let me just say, if your wife comes to you and tells you, I'm seeing ghosts, I'm having issues, I'm having these red flags, it's like, just believe, like,
Yeah.
escape the horror scenario and go straight to
Yeah.
believe your wife.
Just humor me and put on the Ghostbusters uniform. Get the friggin' just humor me. Let's
Yeah.
just get the tracker
Let's just
thing.
let's just move instead of getting all the way to the end of this movie where we all die.
Sadie, Shannon's heard this plenty of times, but if my wife turned to me and said I saw a ghost, she would have to catch me because there would be a Sean-sized hole in the wall where I ran through. I'd be like, good luck with that. I'll see you later.
Leave the house. Leave the house.
So
Just gonna burn it to the ground.
bear with me 1 second. I'm just getting an Instagram post. Sean, you are the guy of the podcast. Well, that's just mean.
That's just
So, all right, let's talk about our third act. I just and Shannon, you have a fair point. It's everyone's interpretation. The second act to me, I just would love to get in there with the scissor and just cut a little bit off. But then we get to the third act, and this is really where it does turn into if we're going to find a horror movie, this is where it does turn into a horror movie because we're full paranoia and we're full dread, and Rosemary is just frantic, and then we have that beautiful shot of the reveal through the secret door into the Cassavet's apartment. And I love the way it's tracked, where she's walking and you see everyone who's been involved in it. And it's like the penny drops and you're like, oh, okay, here it is. And of course, Rosemary's been right the entire time. And now it's revealed to her who her offspring is. And I don't think that you could do a better job in wrapping this all up. I've racked my brain, and I just think he nailed it. He just absolutely nailed it. What about you two? What do you think?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Go ahead. You
no,
go.
no. I'm just really quick. I'm just gonna say that the whole time that they got what they wanted ultimately. Like the cults or coven or whatever you want to call them. Like they won and accomplished their goal. And it's not something I think as a viewer like no like you don't want them to do that, but they do. It's like I don't know, something to be said about that.
Yeah, and also I love the way that we see Rosemary in the very beginning of this movie. She's very full of life. She's wearing bright clothing. She's excited. She's happy about her marriage. Like they're having fun in the beginning, they're christening all the rooms in the house and decorating. And then by the end of it, she's a shell of who she was.
Mm-hmm.
She looks, hollowed out. She is her face is stricken. She's carrying this knife. Like she's going into this room and finds out that her baby is not even human entirely. And there is no happy endings. Like I love that Ira Levin gave us an unhappy ending because it was like from then until now, it's like horror authors can give us these unhappy endings and we can be okay. Like there's so many people that are like, I need it tied off. I need the bow. I need the hope. And it's like, sorry, that's not life.
Yeah.
Lady, how about the fact that we begin the movie with those gorgeous credits that are almost like we have the lullaby that Mia Farrow sings, and then we have these credits that are in like pink and blue, like it's almost like baby shower colors.
Yeah,
like they're very playful.
Oh, wow! I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah, like something out of a completely different movie, something very, romantic and comedic, and this lullaby, and then we get to the end and we get the lullaby again, but now it's like a lullaby that's just, it's horrific.
I mean, and she's just kind of accepted her fate, right? I mean, like it's just kind of like, okay, well, if I want my baby, I guess I have to have a devil baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she, like I said, she as well as the coven that I mentioned before, that they get what they wanted. I mean, she did kind of also get what she wanted as well. It just wasn't in the fashion that she expected, I guess. But
Yeah.
she might have, like, I think she just had a moment where, like, oh well, you know what, I did ask for this.
Yeah.
Like, we organized baby nights. We're already, organizing a room, and this was her goal, like, right from the very beginning. And now we're here, so it's like, well, you might as well, if what is it, what's the saying, like, either, if you can't beat them, join them, type of a thing.
I
Yeah, it
do
is
love
part of her. It's a part of her. It's half her.
Yeah, yeah,
love that she spits in Guy's face, though. She's still in there. She's still in
Yep.
there. So I do love that. But yeah, I mean, do we get to the end and it's just like, oh, well, I guess someone's got to raise the Antichrist.
Might as well be me.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a perfect ending because it's just no, that's it, nothing more. Like no sequel. We just end it there, and it just leaves it up to your imagination, and that's my favorite kind of ending. My
Yeah,
Me
favorite.
too.
yeah, I agree.
Paul Tremblay, I'm looking at you. Every one of your polls. I'm like, oh, can you be a little more definitive, Paul, please?
Never. He never will.
Sadie, you're going to have to listen because we have Paul on in a couple of months, and I think I boxed him into something. Of all the movies that you would think Paul Tremblay would pick, I boxed him into picking the 1950s creature feature Them with the giant
Cool.
eggs.
Yeah,
So
cool.
I'm like, no ambiguity for you this time, Tremblay.
Yeah.
Definitive answer on this.
That's great. That's perfect.
Sadie, I'm going to beg you. I'm going to beg you, and I hate giving homework to our guests, but if you're up for it, would you mind either putting on Instagram or emailing me, like, give me like 5 of your favorite gothic heroines. Like, we've been talking about it
Yeah.
so much in this podcast. The yellow wallpaper for sure. I will put the link in the show notes. But if you have any suggestions, I'd love to add them.
Yeah, I definitely will because I entered my Gothic era in September of last year and I read Gothic all straight through fall and winter. So it was the first time I read The Yellow Wallpaper. I read a bunch of Laura Purcell. I will say The Silent Companions is a must. But yeah, I'll give you a full list because I was obsessed and still am now with Gothics. Yeah.
Love it. Oh, I love it. Same here. Same here. I'm like crazy into Southern Gothic at the moment
Yes.
as well. Oh, I love it so much. So I think we did Rosemary's Baby justice. So what we'll do now is we're just going to transition into our 3 silly questions that we ask all our guests. The first one is, what is the scariest experience you've ever had? It could be a movie. It could be just you walked into the kitchen and there was a ghost. What scared you the most?
So I am a very scaredy cat person. So everything scares me, but I will say the first thing that really terrified me that kind of ruined me for haunted houses like forever was when I was a kid and I was dressed up as like an angel or something really pure and nice. Went to a haunted house with my dad. We walked up the steps. It was all decorated. The yard was it was all decked out. There was somebody weird holding candy, so I was very brave and I took the candy from the bowl. I turned around and there was the wolf man that I had seen in the corner of the yard was now right at the sidewalk that I had to walk past. So I'm clutching my dad. We're walking. I'm like looking, I'm keeping an eye on this guy. He's just kind of staring at me. And right as I walked past him, he grabbed my ankle.
Come
And
on.
it was, it was just like the epitome of fear and terror. And now that jump scare, that like, I can't trust you. Like, I can't trust you not to scare me. I can't trust you not to touch me. It has carried me all the way through. I cannot do haunted houses. I can't do theme parks. I can't do horror movies. I'm over it. No.
I'm with you. That ankle grab, forget it.
Why
it.
did you do that?
He's on a podcast right now going, the best moment I ever had in my life. His ankle.
He is for sure.
All right, Shannon, hit Sadie up with the second question.
All right. So, what is a trash movie that you love, or like a movie that most people consider that not a great movie, but you'll defend it to the death?
I have so many of those. It's not exactly horror, although it kind of is. But I just introduced my son to Starship Troopers. That movie
Movie's
is
great.
all day long a great movie. Like, it is so campy. It is so bad. The acting is so bad. It's just on the nose. It's way too on the nose. Like, everybody's character is so stereotypical. They just suck, and it's the best movie ever. I love it.
It is so good.
They're
Paul
awful.
Verhoeven. Oh, love him.
Yeah, and my son, he's 18. He was marveling at the special effects because nothing was CGI. It was
No.
like
No.
the bugs when they killed somebody, it was real splash. It was real guts. Like, it was so good.
Shannon and I have a deep affinity for practical effects.
Mhm.
Love them. And that movie, chef's
Yeah,
love
it's the best. I'll defend
Okay.
it to death.
The third
Yes.
one is our most contentious question because sometimes people are like, I don't want to answer because I wouldn't do it. But that question is, if you could remake any movie, what would it be?
Oh, gosh.
And the answer can be pass. I wouldn't remake anything.
Well, I can't even think of a movie that I've wanted to have remade. Although, let's say this. I do think I got my remake a little bit with Dr. Sleep because it I did not love the book. And if Stephen King listens to this, I'm really sorry, but I did not love the book. That is not the Danny Torrance that I wanted. But when Mike Flanagan took hold of that and he made Dr. Sleep into this movie and kind of combined what I loved about Kubrick's movie, took his own flavor into it, and made the Danny Torrance that I wanted, like, that was the culmination of,
Couldn't
I
agree
mean,
more.
that now it's one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. So I'll say, like, he remade the book for me. So now I love that. I love that book.
Nice.
That's a perfect answer.
That's a great answer.
Great. Mike Flanagan. Oh, I have huge love for Mike Flanagan on this
Me
podcast.
too. I can't wait for the Dark Tower. Like, please give us the real Dark Tower.
In any hands, I trust it the most in his. So I can't wait. I cannot wait. Okay. I would kick myself after we were done today if I didn't ask you. I have to ask you, Sadie, what's your favorite thing that you're reading right now?
So that is, I'm reading All Women right now. Okay,
Great.
so I have not, I've deviated a little bit from the TBR to read Stephen Graham Jones's book, and I think I read one other, like, translated book by a guy, but I'm reading All Women for my second book. And the second book that I'm writing is a journey through women in horror with curated, like, micro lists. So instead of, like, a large list of women you have to read, it's all, like, curated by, like, vibes and themes and maybe dates or maybe one author. Like, I'm making all of these lists for people to read and go through women in horror. And it's blowing my mind. Like, I keep thinking about women writing our horror stories, like Rosemary's Baby. Even though a guy wrote it, it's through a female lens. It's through our narrative and the way that we are in a predator-prey scenario in the world. And so all of the horror stories I'm reading are just phenomenal. Like, I just read, I'm getting into a lot of translated horror, and I
Okay.
just read one called Blizzard by Marie Vintras, and it's about, like, a little boy who runs out into a snowstorm and then all these different people that go out looking for him and how nobody is a good person.
Oh,
And it's through all of their POVs, and it's just, especially the woman narrative, you're so freaking worried about her because she's gone out into the wilderness with these three men who are also looking for the guy, but they're looking for her. And it is just so, it just gives me chills even to talk about it.
I just got chills.
Yeah, I did
okay.
too.
that sounds dreadful and incredible.
Yeah, I just wrote that down. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, thank goodness for translators. I just gotta say, like, there's so many horror stories out there that just need a translator to bring it to us. And once it gets here, it's like, oh man, there's a whole wealth of other authors out there in the entire world telling horror stories, and like, I need it all. I need it all.
I never even thought of that. That's such a great point.
So wait, when can we expect this? I mean, how do these things work? When can we expect
My
this
book?
book? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm currently like writing it and getting it all down, and then my deadline to turn it in is in November, and then it will go into production. We're planning on having it be illustrated just like a 101, and then it should come out in the fall of 2025.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Yay!
so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
We end all our podcasts, though. We always give our guests ample time to talk about any projects that you have coming up. I know we just talked about that one, but anything
Yeah.
else you want to put on people's radar?
I mean, not really. Like I said, I narrowed it down to Instagram only, really. I mean, I've taken, like, right now, what I'm doing is I'm going through everything that I've read in the last, like, 4 or 5 years, and I'm making big lists and putting it on Instagram and then putting it in my highlights. So there will be, like, everything that came out in 2020 that I recommend, and everything that came out in 2021 and 2022. Those will all be easily accessible. I'm really pouring into daily recommendations on Instagram, sometimes TikTok, but not really. And so, yeah, just like, I just read for a living. I'm here all the time reading and writing about horror, and then I just want to share it so that everybody who doesn't have time to like do all of that can, at least have some sort of place to start.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we love that.
your job sounds incredible, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I want that job.
Yeah.
It took a long time to get here, but now that I'm here, I'm just kind of like, my 12-year-old self would be really proud of me.
Aw, I love that.
I'm so happy for you and sad for myself at the same time.
Same.
You get to be a cool podcaster, so.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been incredible. I mean, when you accepted our invitation to come on, my heart sank because you truly are one of my favorite people. I just love what you do, and I love what you put out into the world. And it's so great when you meet your heroes and they turn out to be even cooler than you thought they were.
Wow, you guys, thank you so much. And thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for, interacting on Instagram and having me on. I would love to come on anytime. So I really had a good time with you guys.
You are going to regret those words.
I won't.
We might be like the Gordon neighbors.
If
But we
you
love
try
them.
and
I'm
you
like,
canist, don't accept it. All right.
I'm gonna show up with a smoothie,
You're like, please.
and you're like, "Were you just in New York?" Like,
This is a little suspicious.
Oh, and Sadie, this goes without saying. If you have anything that you want to promote, please send it to us, and we will promote the hell out of it. Upcoming appearances, whatever it may be, you are part of the Sinful Cuts family now, and we support our
Awesome.
family.
Yay, thank you. I love that.
Yay!
Thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. That's a cut.
Yay!
Woohoo!